Consistency does not guarantee that you will be successful, but inconsistency will guarantee that you will not achieve success. Because the work can only compound if you keep showing up. Most people do not fail because the goal was impossible. They fail because they are not consistent. They wanted the result, but they kept breaking the chain that would have built it. And then they wondered why nothing changed. But nothing can grow if you keep pulling it out of the ground to check whether it is growing. Nothing can compound if you keep interrupting the process. That is the truth about consistency. It is simple, but it is not easy. It is simple to show up, but doing it again tomorrow is where most people lose. And doing it after the excitement is gone is where the separation begins. Because anyone can start when motivation is high. Anyone can be disciplined for a few days when the idea of changing their life feels new. But the man who wins is not the man who only shows up when the feeling is there. It is the man who keeps showing up when the feeling disappears. That is why you must show up every day. Not because every day will produce visible progress, but because every day you show up, you give the work another chance to compound. One day may look small. One decision to keep going may look like nothing. But repeated long enough, small actions stop being small. They snowball into results that cannot be ignored. They become the future you were trying to build. And this is what most people never respect. They underestimate what repetition can do, because repetition looks too ordinary in the beginning. It does not feel like a breakthrough. It does not feel like the kind of thing that could change a life. But the things that change your life often look boring while they are happening. The boring rep. The boring refusal to quit. That is where the future is built. Not in one perfect day, but in the quiet repetition of doing what needs to be done until the work is complete. Repetition beats perfectionism, because the person waiting to do it perfectly once will always be beaten by the person who fails, adjusts, and keeps taking shots. The first attempt may be weak. The first week may feel awkward. But that does not mean the work is useless. It means the work has only just begun. You do not become exceptional before you become consistent. You become consistent first. Then consistency gives you enough time to become better. And as you become better, the same reps start producing more value. That is why the world belongs to people who can work without seeing results right away. Because most people need proof too early. And when the result does not show up fast enough, they stop. But if you stop every time the result is delayed, you will never stay long enough to see what the work was building. The work often proves itself after the point where most people quit. That is why you cannot judge the process too early. Your current effort may be planting something your future self will harvest months from now. The discipline you show today may not pay you today, but it is still not wasted. You do not reap the harvest in the same season you sow. You may not see it yet, but the work is teaching you. It is shaping you. It is making you the kind of person who can hold the result when it finally arrives. So never miss a day. Rest is important, but do not use it as an excuse for not doing the work. Making excuses is not balance. There is a difference between resting so you can return stronger and vanishing because the work became uncomfortable. Never miss a day means never abandon the mission. It means if you cannot do the full work, you do something. If you cannot take the big step, you take the small one. If your body needs rest, your mind still stays connected to the purpose. Because the danger is not always one missed day. The danger is the story one missed day can start if you let it. It starts with a tomorrow, then next week, and before you know it, you have drifted from the fight. That is how the chain breaks, and once the chain breaks, it becomes easier to break it again. This is why urgency matters. Not panic, urgency. The ability to tell yourself, do it now, start today, take the next step now. Because procrastination is not always laziness. Sometimes it is the slow habit of teaching yourself that your own promises can wait. And the more you wait, the easier waiting becomes. Successful people move when something needs to be done. They do not spend all day negotiating with the task. They break the thing into pieces. Then they attack the next piece. Then the next. Then the next. That is how big things are built. Not by staring at the mountain thinking it is impossible, but by taking the next step. There will be days where you will feel too tired to do anything. But being tired is part of the game. Winners feel tired too. They also have days where motivation is gone. They have mornings where the body feels heavy, the mind feels unclear, and the work feels like the last thing they want to do. The difference is that they do not let tiredness dictate their actions. They do not make every feeling a command. They understand that if they only work when they feel ready, they will never become consistent. Discipline says, do it anyway. Because you understand that the voice telling you to stop is coming from a place of comfort. And that is exactly where you are trying to escape. It will say you are tired. It will say tomorrow is better. It will say one day does not matter. And sometimes maybe you do need rest. But more often than not, what you really need is to stop letting comfort make decisions for the man you are trying to become. You have to learn to operate when conditions are not perfect. You must learn to do the work while tired. Because life will not always give you perfect conditions. And if you can only show up when life is easy, you will not be ready for the life you keep asking for. That is why hard, draining, frustrating moments matter. Every time you push through a barrier, you leave a little more of the old version of yourself behind. Every time you keep going when others stop, you create distance. Not always visible distance, but internal distance. The distance between who you were and who you are becoming. And this is where self-doubt becomes dangerous. If you allow yourself to doubt your progress or your own ability, then you will always succumb to comfort. One moment of self-doubt inside your own mind can be more dangerous than 1,000 people doubting you from the outside. Other people can doubt you and you can still keep moving. But when doubt takes root inside your own mind, it starts looking for evidence. It starts reminding you of every failure, every slow result, every time you quit before, every reason the goal may not work. And if you listen long enough, doubt will not just question your future. It will start destroying your commitment to the present. That is why the most important conversation is the one happening inside your own mind. What do you tell yourself when the work feels pointless? What do you tell yourself when progress is slow? Because the words you speak inside yourself become the story you live from. And what you do when nobody is watching shapes that story even more. Every kept commitment becomes evidence. Every time you say you will show up and then disappear, something inside you remembers. Quitting privately changes how you see yourself publicly. You may still look confident. You may still talk like you want the goal. But deep down, you know whether you are keeping your promises. You know whether you are showing up. And that knowledge matters, because private commitments become public confidence. The confidence people see later is built from the promises you kept when nobody was watching. The days you wanted to skip. The days where nobody would have known if you quit. But you knew. And because you knew, you stayed. That kind of evidence changes a man. He no longer has to pretend he is disciplined. He has proof. And proof is built through repetition. That is why you have to spend enough time alone to know what actually matters, to know what is worth showing up for every day. You must spend enough time with your own thoughts so that your path becomes clear. What do you really want? What goal is worth sacrificing for? Because once you know what matters, the next responsibility is simple. Stop disappearing from it. Show up when it is exciting. Show up when it is boring. Show up when you are ahead. Show up when you are behind. Because consistency is not glamorous, but it is powerful. And most worthwhile things are on the other side of an overwhelming amount of consistency for an extraordinary period of time. They are not built by touching the work once. They are built by returning until returning becomes who you are. That is why people quit right before they get what they wanted. They stop because they cannot see what is coming. But you do not know how close you are when you quit. You do not know what one more month could have built. So refuse to be the person who quit before reaching what you needed. Refuse to be the man who left before the work had a chance to work. Refuse to let tiredness, boredom, self-doubt, or delayed results steal the future you were still building. The hard route creates the better life. Growth requires discomfort. And consistency requires sacrifice. The quiet kind. The kind where you choose the harder path when nobody would blame you for choosing comfort. The kind where you feel the pull of the easy road and choose the mission anyway. Because every time you choose comfort over effort, another version of you gets better while you stay the same. The version who showed up. The version who kept training. That version is always available. But he is built through your choices. So, how badly do you really want it? Not how badly do you want it when you are motivated. How badly do you want it when it is boring, when it is slow, when you are tired? That is where the answer lives. Because consistency tells the truth. It reveals whether the goal is something you admire or something you are willing to build. So show up every day. Never miss a day. Protect the chain. Respect the boring work. Trust the repetition. Rest when rest serves the mission, but do not disappear from the path. Do not let one missed promise become the story you live inside. The work can only compound if you keep showing up. So keep showing up. Again and again and again, until consistency becomes separation, until discipline becomes second nature. Because success may not be guaranteed, but if you keep disappearing from the work, failure becomes certain. So do not disappear. Show up every day and allow consistent efforts to build the life you dream about.